Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another movie review. A little bonus video for you today. I just watched the most recently released Bill and Ted movie, Bill and Ted Face the Music. It's directed by Dean Parisot, written by Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon, the writers of the original two films. It stars Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, Christian Shaw, Samara Weaving, Bridget Lundy Payne, William Sadler, Anthony Corrigan, Jema Mays, and others. The plot synopsis is, once told they'd save the universe during a time-traveling adventure, two would-be rockers from San Dimas, California, find themselves as middle-aged dads still trying to crank out a hit song and fulfill their destiny. So, what did I think of this movie? Just real quick, off the top of the dome. I thought it was fine. It's kind of a whatever. I guess I'm just not a Bill and Ted guy. That's what I've learned over the past few days of watching the original movies and then now watching this. I think they're fine. I don't really get kind of the outpouring of praise. This is actually getting a lot of good reviews. It seems like people that are into the franchise or have nostalgia for the franchise kind of enjoyed this. Because it is, in a lot of ways, plays like a greatest hits of the last two movies. It is very predicated on having seen those other movies, and the more recently you've seen them, the more you're going to notice kind of what it's pulling from. Does feel like a love letter to fans. It's something that they made for fans. It's made for Bill and Ted fans, first and foremost. So they weren't like kind of trying to do anything super new or unique. I do think there's a few interesting angles. None of it feels very well explored, though, because you're dealing with this concept of them being middle-aged, having children of their own, having their wives, these codependency problems that maybe they do or do not have. And the movie brings up all of these things and then really doesn't do anything with them. It is just as slight and kind of hollow and shallow as the original movies in the sense that they're not really characters. They're affects, they're archetypes. They're not well developed. We don't really get to know the internal lives of these characters, and maybe that's the point. I don't know. It's just ephemera, and Bill and Ted Face the Music felt very much like that. It kind of wore its welcome out on me towards the end of the movie, which is weird because I like actually the end of the movie. I like that the message of the movie, I suppose you could call it, the subtext is that like Bill and Ted are not like the chosen ones in the sense they're going to save the world in a direct way. It's that humanity saves itself. And I like the way they contrived or they came up with the circumstances by which that would happen. It was a clever use of the things that have already been in Bill and Ted movies. You could tell this was done kind of quickly, definitely on a budget. I don't know what the shooting schedule was like. I don't know if they shot this in a few weeks. It feels like it. I do think, though, even having said that, they do a pretty decent job. Like, it's got some pretty decent green screen work because there are times where it's just Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter, like in front of a green screen, like walking on a treadmill. Like, and you can, and if you're savvy enough, you're going to definitely see that. But I thought the actual templates and what they used were pretty good. They blended pretty well. They blended pretty seamlessly. I thought they did some pretty good work with that stuff. So it's like a low budget kind of science fiction comedy. Definitely utilized that stuff very well. They obviously had some smart people. And this guy, Dean Parisot, is not like a prolific director or anything. He's kind of a little bit of a hack, a little bit of a journeyman director, in a sense that of the comedies he makes. Like he directed Fun with Dick and Jane, the remake with Jim Carrey from 2005. He directed Galaxy Quest, which is probably what people would be like most excited about. Oh, the guy from Galaxy Quest. But if you look at the direction of Galaxy Quest, it's not really what makes that movie interesting. That's another movie I think is kind of mildly overrated, but I do like Galaxy Quest. Galaxy Quest is a much better movie than Bill and Ted Face the Music. That's the biggest problem I have. Is like it brings up all these interesting avenues of thought and exploration, even for these characters. Even let's be a little subversive. Let's get into maybe who they are on a deeper level, and the kind of life they have been living because of this premonition or this This piece of information they have about themselves has kind of destroyed their lives in a certain way, but they're just too stupid to see it. They bring that up. And that's what's most frustrating. They bring it up. And then they do nothing with it. And then it's just a fun, silly adventure where they go and see themselves at different periods of time in the future because they're like, well, we'll just go steal the song from ourselves. Classic Bill and Ted stuff, you know? And then they just don't do anything with it. I was kind of bewildered at some point. Like, you know, once the third act rolled around, I'm like, and I realized, like, oh, none of this is going to matter. Nothing they set up in the first act actually matters in any significant way. I was kind of surprised at that. Because it really does set up that they're going to have some sort of issues. Even as friends. Codependency problems. It's ruining their marriage. They don't have separate lives from each other. And it's, like I said, just doesn't deal with it. It was fun to see Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter back in the saddle, back as these characters. I do like the characters, Bill and Ted. I just wish they were in better movies. Although I don't know what you do with them. You know, you can't really develop them. They are static. And that's what people like about them, actually. You know, to most people, that's a virtue for these characters. They are just pure comedy characters. They're not meant to be seen as realistic. And it was fun to see Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. They kind of slid pretty easily back into the role. It's funny to hear Keanu Reeves, like old man Keanu Reeves' voice. He's kind of like gruffer and more... It's got a little, you know, pitch down and stuff. It's still doing the California, like, whoa. It is kind of funny hearing it out of his voice. Alex Winter, other than looking older, gives a pretty dead-on performance in terms of what he offered before. It's been a while since Alex Winter's been in a movie. He's been mostly a documentary filmmaker in his later years, probably since his 30s. He kind of retired from, like, Hollywood, basically, for a while. And then got back into it, making these great documentaries about the dark web. He did this one about a documentary about the Silk Road. He did a documentary about the Panama Papers a couple years ago. He's very talented, kind of an activist filmmaker. Him and Keanu Reeves are still like best buddies. Keanu Reeves actually did some of the narration, the voiceover for a couple of his documentaries, or at least one I know. The Silk Road one I know he's involved with. Oh, and the new people, their daughters, which I guess people have a lot of problems with because it's, I believe at the end of Bogus Journey, is it, that they have sons, or Excellent Adventure, that they have sons, and then they kind of retconned it to be daughters. And they didn't, and I guess there was some speculation as to whether or not they would actually contrive a plot reason for that, but they don't. They just, you know, whatever. But that's Samara Weaving and Bridget Lundy Payne. They're both pretty good. Samara Weaving plays Thea. Bridget Lundy Payne plays Billy. And I think they actually do a pretty good job. Samara Weaving's a decent actress, just in general. Even though I didn't love the movie, it's worth checking out if you're a thriller horror person. Is Ready or Not. She's really good in it. Like, the movie itself is fine, but she's really good in it. She is the thing to pay attention to. And apparently she got this role because she's Hugo Weaving's niece. And Keanu Reeves was like, hired. I love being in The Matrix. Hired! And I don't know anything about this other girl, but she was good. I definitely enjoyed her performance. I've seen her. Okay, that's where she's from. She's in Bombshell, which I saw earlier this year. She's in Downsizing, which I don't remember her from. She was in Action Point, Four Finger Annie. If you've ever seen Action Point, the Johnny Knoxville classic. Which reminds me, they actually just put out a documentary about the real place. I got to check that out. Yeah. Like, I think maybe if you're a Bill and Ted fan and you just want kind of an amusement park ride version of Bill and Ted to, like, kind of wistfully think back on your youth and movies you used to like, maybe check it out. I don't know. It wasn't for me, really. And I'm not like a stick in the mud. I enjoy a good, silly comedy. I just don't... This thing was so incoherent at times because of the fact that it seems like it's setting up things that never has any interest in paying off. Things that would have just made it, I think, a better movie. I think it would have made for a more interesting experience And you could have actually done something special instead of just doing kind of a fan service movie. Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. And I think fans are going to like it. People that are put all their hopes and dreams and all of their moods, they tie it to the media they consume. Maybe you'll get something out of it because it's going to make you feel good because it's so light and it has light aims. So maybe you'll enjoy it for that. I don't know. I wish I liked it more. I wish that it was something I was into. I wish I liked Bill and Ted because I liked the characters. And like I said, I talked about last night, came out this morning actually, is that I enjoyed Bogus Journey. Even on this revisit, I enjoyed the creativity, like the technical, the craftsmanship that went into making these movies. I can't really say that for Bill and Ted. Face the Music, though. Because it feels so... I don't know. It just... It looks like a movie that like very competent people with some money like shot on like an iPhone and have like a Mac, a nice Mac with some final... What is it called? Final Edit? Probably forgetting. Not Final Draft. That editing software on Mac. And it looks like a cheap TV straight to video movie. It does. It doesn't have that texture that the old movies have, because at least those movies have that. It has something that feels like tangible, and there's a lot of kind of fun invention in the way that they had to shoot around things because of their budget. This doesn't do that. It's pretty flat in terms of a pretty flat looking movie. Hey, what's up, buddy? Nope. Go that way. Run. That's my son. Anyways, so I guess he's telling me I'm done. He's telling me the review is over. But who's the DP on this? Let's check that out. Shelley Johnson. And Don Zimmerman edited. We'll check out him real quick before I gotta skedaddle. Shelley Johnson. That's a boy. You would think. He's done some stuff. He did Greyhound, which was recently released. I haven't seen that with Tom Hanks. Captain America, The First Soldier. Hidalgo. The Wolfman remake with Benicio del Toro, which I don't think I've ever seen. I got to check that out. It's edited by Don Zimmerman, who's edited such films as Men in Black 3, Jumper. Ooh. Jumper, huh? 9 Lives, which is that movie, the Kevin Spacey movie, The Talking Cat, right? It is. Okay, so he's just like a worker, a journeyman editor. Anyways, yeah. So in those aspects, it was kind of disappointing, and I wish it was more coherent. I wish that it went for it a little bit more in terms of delivering on something more than its predecessors. Because I think there was an opportunity to take these kinds of characters and actually maybe do some interesting reflection, not only on the characters, but in a meta sense, like the time those movies were made and how the world has changed. It doesn't. It doesn't want to do that. And you could have done that in a funny, lighter way, but it doesn't want to. It's pretty breakneck. It's got like an A-B plot with like Bill and Ted going to the future. Their daughters kind of heading into the past, collecting these musicians to form the ultimate band for their father. And it's all just kind of whatever. I don't know. Sorry, guys. It's not for me. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, you want to keep up to date with everything Zoobox, there's a bunch of links in the description for Facebook, for Instagram, for my personal Twitter. Also, if you would like to make a recommendation for one of these daily videos, just throw it in the comments, and I will do my best to get to it in a timely fashion. No problems. No problems here. No problems, everybody. Chill out.